All right, everyone. We are recording and we are live with Tim Draper, investor, founder, Draper Associates. And what can I say? Tim, I got to know him. He let me feature his work in my textbook, and I've been following him for a long time. He really, in my opinion, can see the future. And I want to turn it over to Tim. He's here. He's ready to go. Robin will take down the slide, and we are spotlighting you, Tim. Go ahead.
Terrific. Well, thanks for having me, AI Showbiz. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm sorry I don't get to see all of you, and I really miss all the connections with all the people I get a chance to speak with. But I'm very excited to talk to you about what my vision of what the future looks like. I know that the slant here should be toward entertainment, and so I will slant it a little bit toward entertainment. The world's changing in a big way. The decentralization of the world, artificial intelligence have those interesting technologies that are around both the big data and deep learning for artificial intelligence, and Bitcoin, the blockchain, and smart contracts for decentralization are changing the whole nature of the world and how we perceive it. AI and entertainment, that Sophia has proven that AI may end up being a better actor than the actors that we hire. And that could change entertainment in a big way. And the decentralization, by using Bitcoin, entertainment companies can more honestly reward their actors, their producers, their lighting people, whoever is involved in a movie or a song. And that's going to change the nature of entertainment in that let's say you're producing a Star Wars movie and there are 16,000 people involved in the Star Wars movie, and you have to pay each of them, and they each get paid every quarter or whatever. Well, if you used a smart contract and Bitcoin, you could pay all those people completely honestly through that smart contract. You could keep it all straight on the blockchain, and people would have complete trust in the system, where every time you could set it up almost so that every time somebody goes to the movies, I guess nobody's going now, every time someone paid for the movie, some small piece of Bitcoin would fall into every one of those wallets. Everybody from the producer all the way down to the second lighting hand grip guy. This changes the whole nature of entertainment. The other thing is that the rights can all be set up on a smart contract, so that anybody who ever plays a piece of music on the radio or wherever else, that music, the value from the playing of that music can be spread to all those individual accounts. And that is just the entertainment world, and how this is going to change the entertainment world. It's interesting, the internet changed some of the bigger industries of the world: entertainment, communications, media, gaming, eventually hotels and taxis. This new world with Bitcoin, blockchain, smart contracts, combined with big data and deep learning and artificial intelligence and machine learning, those new technologies have the potential to transform the biggest industries in the world, the ones that are rather than in the hundreds of billions, in the trillions of dollars. And that creates one of the great opportunities in the world for entrepreneurship, It's great for venture capital. And it's great for anyone who is embracing change, who wants to see more interesting things happen. So people are going to go through these major transformations, and it's going to be sociological too. And this lock-in place thing that we've been stuck with is actually accelerating some of the uses. I know Bitcoin wallets are going through the roof. I know our use of artificial intelligence is spreading a lot faster. I know VR. People are buying more Oculus, and that's really starting to spread. Entertainment is going to change around VR too. I think that's going to be yet another way for us to entertain ourselves. And it's starting to happen. People stuck in the same room for all this time are using VR to sort of explore other areas and make them feel like they're in different places. So some of this lock in place is actually accelerating the usage by consumers of these technologies that entrepreneurs have been pushing for a long time. Now, think about the industries that can potentially be changed. Well, first of all, banking clearly is going to be completely transformed, because a bank used to be that trusted third party, and now they're that big, huge, shiny building with all these people dressed like this, who you're paying for by every time you swipe a credit card. You're paying them 2.5% to 4%. Your bank is constantly under attack by hackers. And now with Bitcoin, Bitcoin's never been hacked. Bitcoin blockchain's never been hacked, knock on wood. And now we can use Bitcoin as a source of what used to be for the banks. It's that trusted third party. And what's great about that is that you no longer have to pay the 2.5% to 4% to the bank whenever you swipe a credit card. You have a currency now that is global, transparent, open, frictionless, and not tied to some whims of the government. So if the government, for instance, decides to print $2 trillion to dilute the dollars that you have, and make those dollars worth less, if you had Bitcoin instead, the Bitcoin would be untouched by that inflationary explosion of dollars. So I think that is going to change the nature of banking. And I think Bitcoin is also global, so that you can go from one place to another. If you're in Syria and you are shoved out of your country and you have a bunch of Syrian money, nobody takes it in Greece, but you've been moved to Greece. Well, if you moved to Greece and you had Bitcoin, you could pull down your Bitcoin and start your life again. So political forces are going to be less intrusive. Okay. But right now they're being more intrusive because it's a reaction to the idea that they are less relevant. Now I'm going to go on to government. Government is about to go through a major change. The internet opened our borders. It made us all much more interconnected. All these businesses did very well. The consumer benefited around the world in a big way, because we could get oil from one place and electronics from another, and fruit and vegetables from another, and we would always have a good stash of whatever it was that we needed. Well, that made the borders less relevant. And we started to move from a tribal world to a global world. Well, that tribalism is still in a lot of people's heads, and some governments are trying to cling to that tribalism because it's their power base. But the rest of us know that this is a global world, and we are open to this new global world. Well, a lot of governments are trying to hang on to that power. And so we're seeing things like trade wars or trade barriers or the wall or whatever put up to cling to what used to be important, which was tribalism. It's not important anymore. We are now very much a global world, and that's exciting, and it's scary for a lot of people. Um, and I think this pandemic has allowed governments uh, to become more tribal, although they have worked together, which is kind of fun to see. I think longer term, these governments are going to have to do more services um, uh, outside of their world. So Estonia started this e-governance, and that meant that you could be an Estonian virtual resident without ever having set foot in Estonia. They made me the third virtual resident of Estonia. Well, Estonia recognized that they only had 1.3 million people, but that they could serve billions of people. And so they created this e-governance, and over time, they're providing more and more and more and more services to people outside of Estonia. Now there are 200,000 virtual residents of Estonia. And that's going to grow and grow and grow. And now Malaysia has a virtual residency program too. And Kazakhstan's working on a virtual citizenship program. That means to me that these governments are going to compete across borders for us, for you, for me, for the businesses of the world, the citizens of the world, the taxpayers of the world. They are going to have to provide better services. And here's something that's coming that's going to allow them to do that. Now I'm going to get into insurance. A lot of what government does is insurance, healthcare insurance, social security, pension insurance, workman's compensation insurance, job insurance. All these insurance programs are a big part of what government does. Well, now you can create an insurance company with just a smart contract and some artificial intelligence and surveillance equipment. You can, right now, when you are insured, you pay your premiums every month, pay, and then you have a claim. And then the insurance company, the incentive is to stiff you, and then you end up in a lawsuit, and eventually they pay you some fraction of what you were owed. Well, if you set up an insurance company that was strictly a smart contract, and whenever you had a claim, it would be paid immediately, as long as the surveillance recognized that had happened. So, for instance, if your house burned down, that could be spotted by a satellite surveillance system. If the winds hit 150 miles an hour, that could also be recognized by a surveillance system. So you've got a really interesting thing happening in insurance that can transform insurance, but it also can transform government, because a lot of what government does is insurance. Real estate can be managed through putting all the titles on the blockchain, and so that everybody knows who owns what. They can be split up and fractionalized and tokenized and traded. So ownership of real estate can be much. You can own a very small piece of a big piece of real estate. That's going to create a more liquid environment for real estate. And then in healthcare, there is an amazing transformation happening, because the whole healthcare system is becoming digitized. in using data for healthcare, you can create a diagnostic tool that can do a much better job than any doctor has ever been able to do. And when combined with a doctor, it can do even better. So using data, you're going to be able to keep track of all your healthcare records, but it's going to also add things like your genetic history and your blood test results, and then weird things like your Fitbit results or what airplane seat you sat in and what you had for breakfast and all these other things that we can't imagine what they are, but they can all contribute to the diagnosis when you go in and you say, I've got a headache. Similarly, therapeutics can be using data in a new way too, and you're seeing that happen with COVID. Most of the real development work is happening in the dry lab. They call it a dry lab, where it's computational biochemistry that's used to determine if you have a disease over here. You run multiple drugs against it very quickly, and then you see one that fits, and you say, oh, that's interesting. That was the one that we used for AIDS. And it seems to have a very strong effect on COVID. And so all of healthcare is going to change. In fact, two of our companies, Verge Genomics and Atomwise, are so good at predicting that over time, we're going to see them become better predictors of efficacy and safety than the FDA. And so it'll end up being a tool for the FDA or just an independent source that determines whether a drug is safe or not.
Tim,
we are going into an amazing time, and we need questions.
Yes, I wanted to get to some of the questions, and thank you for doing this and how fascinating in your vantage point. The big one is, what are you most excited about at this moment today in investing? What is the thing that's going to light you up and want to write a check?
So the thing I'm the most excited about is whatever those great entrepreneurs are coming up with out there, because I have learned that over time that anything I predict is paltry by comparison to what these entrepreneurs come up with. But if you, my hot buttons right now are the decentralization of everything. Yeah. I'm looking at using Bitcoin blockchain and smart contracts for governing, for free speech, for new ways of using a jury, new ways of voting. All of these things can be done on the blockchain with smart contracts. This is and anything that moves Bitcoin to where, as a venture capitalist, I can I want to be able to raise a fund in Bitcoin, invest the money in Bitcoin, and have the entrepreneurs pay their employees and suppliers in Bitcoin. And I want it all on one big smart contract. And I want all the accounting done for me so that I don't have to pay the accountants and the lawyers and the transfer agents and the auditors and the bookkeepers and whoever else to take care of all those things. If it's just in a smart contract, it automatically can be spread into everybody's wallet when it needs to go.
I love that. When I was at Davos at the World Economic Forum this year, I witnessed the revolution. I mean, the blockchain took over. You already knew it was coming. So the other question, of course, we have a pitch fest today, a Shark Tank style one, Tech for Good. What if we have many of those competitors listening? What would you like to see in someone's pitch? And I want to get specific here. When they're showing slides, what is it you like to see them share about versus what, tell us, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What aren't they sharing that you wish they would on day one?
Oh, well, when you pitch, just make sure that you get to the point very quickly. The patience of a venture capitalist is always very limited because we see so many pitches that we have to make our evaluations very quickly. So I wouldn't make it a long story, I'd say why you care about it. Here's what happened. This is why I'm doing it. And make sure that that's a clear story.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, it's what do you do? Why are you doing it? How big's the market? And how are you going to make money doing it? I think you just lay those four things out and do it in a clear way. Also, it's good to say, here's how it works. That does help you a little bit. And then do it with gusto and enthusiasm. Get in there and,
Yeah.
hey, I care about this. This is important to me.
Yes.
This is my life. I'm putting my life on the line for this.
Yeah.
I'm helping all these people. And then when you say it's tech for good, that implies that some tech is for bad. And I'm a believer in technology and moving the future forward. I think we are all better off as technology moves forward, and technology wins all wars. It also has provided us this amazing life that we've had. And so I would encourage you to continue to push forward and push technology forward. There are always going to be downsides to every new technology, but in general, they're always good. There are always great things that can happen with it. And the vast majority of the applications are always positive. And as long as the governments are wise enough to encourage the land of the free and the home of the brave, those technologies will thrive, the businesses will thrive, and we'll have a very wealthy society around the world.
That's fantastic. One more question. It's a really specific one. When they're showing their deck, do you like to see what they're going to spend their money on and some attribution to it? So it's not just like we're going to have an office, but see that they've done their research. They really know what they're going to do with your money specifically.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not the hottest topic, but it's a very important thing to have in the back of your head when the venture capitalist said, okay, if I'm going to invest this much money, what is that money going to get? How far are you going to get with that money? How long will it last? Do you have a path to becoming a profitable business? How thin can you keep your team?
Okay.
I wouldn't try to make up things to spend it on.
Okay.
I would instead show how long this money will last and keep alive. Because the only thing that kills a company is that they die because they run out of money or they blow up because of people issues.
Yeah.
But if they die because they run out of money, that means that you really didn't plan very well, because that's the key. Make sure you stay alive.
I know I got to keep you on your schedule because there's another meeting, I guess, waiting for you. So final question, final words of wisdom to all of us at this time. You covered a lot, Tim. I can't thank you enough. This was amazing, your talk. And we've recorded it, and I know many more people will be seeing it shortly. But what is your parting words to all of us that are on in the trenches, doing our ventures, trying to get to the next level?
Well, I think it's the hospitals are empty now, or most of them, except maybe New York City. It's really time to get back to work. I'd encourage your politician to say, hey, it's time to be the land of the free and home of the brave again. Let's be willing to take some level of risk, and let's get back out there and start getting back to work. Get our restaurants going, get our air travel going, get the hotels going. It's time. Let's start having these conferences in person. It's definitely time. Based on all the numbers I've seen, it really feels as though we really need to get back to work. Okay. We have 25% of the workforce unemployed. It's time. So spread the word, get the politicians on board. It's time. Let's go. It's more. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. This was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Take care. This is fantastic, Tim.